Earlier this year we were talking about the trinity of gameplay innovations that revolutionised the game this year, which are the player impact engine, precision dribbling and tactical defending. I've also talked about the EA Sports Football Club, which is kind of the heartbeat of FIFA now, where all your actions in the game now contribute experience points to you, the club that you support, and support your club, and also put in really cool situations from the real world of football into the game too. And then the stuff that I announced today was all around career mode, how we're introducing kind of some really deep, authentic simulation aspects to career mode based around things that real managers need to deal with: player morale, transfers, youth scouting, and a real big blowout on transfer day deadlines.
Would it be fair to say you're trying to kind of blend Football Manager and FIFA in kind of one mode?
Yeah, I guess. I would say that we are still some way away from offering a level of simulation that Football Manager does, which is a great hardcore football management title. I think what we're offering is a kind of definitive, what we call Twitch experience, that kind of joypad moment where you're in control of a player, making passes and making shots with unbelievable graphics and all the cool stuff that we've put in this year. Plus a pretty cool, pretty compelling career mode experience where you can play that experience over a series of fixtures and seasons based on the rules of football for the team that you support, for the team that you're playing with, and at the same time, you know, still have to deal with some fairly deep and challenging kind of management issues. A player's unhappy because his contract isn't good enough, a player's unhappy because he's not getting enough first team football, a club's heard about this unhappiness via the media and has come in to try and, you know, sign that player from you with a really low-balled figure because they know that he's unhappy and wants to leave. So a bunch of different things based around, you know, what you read about and what you see in the press. Kind of being pushed into a really cool console kind of simulation of football.
So since you've come on the FIFA franchise, it's kind of gone from being kind of second to PES to being top of the tree now, and Pro Evo is kind of miles behind. What was your kind of approach that changed the mindset of the team, and what were you aiming for, and how you changed how it was working from before?
I think it would be wrong of me to take credit for that on a personal level. I think what happened was when we moved over to 360 and PlayStation 3, the team took the decision to reinvent the engine from the ground up and created a series of pieces that were based on emergent behaviours, for want of a better term, from the context of what you'd done. So depending on where your foot hit a ball and how that ball was spinning and in what direction and how skillful that player was, the outcome would be different every time. So removing scripted elements, removing predictability in the sense of repetitiveness, but putting in predictability in the sense of unpredictability. Which sounds like a contradiction, but it's actually kind of what happens every time you kick a football. You think you know what's going to happen, and it's when all of the stars are aligned that exactly the right thing happens, kind of thing. So trying to create parts of a game that were based around that, rather than, you know, scripting it out and it becoming predictable and boring. So they did that, and I was lucky enough to join the team at a point at which it was a case of, okay, you've kind of got the groundings of a fantastic football game there, let's do this and do that. And by that it was, let's talk to the community and see what's frustrating them, because at that point I think they were very frustrated and hadn't really been listened to a great deal. And then the other side of it was, let's, you know, I was a massive Pro Evo fan. Let's figure out what their magic was. And let's try and not necessarily replicate it, but supersede it in every single way.
This year, Pro Evo, they're kind of going to their second revamp in the space of 2 years to try and catch you up. Do you keep an eye on them still, or are they there in the back of your mind?
We'd be foolish to not, but you know, it's kind of in the back of our mind somewhat. For me, we know where we're going and what we want to achieve, and we're not slowing down or anything like that. I sometimes worry about the amount of stuff we do every year. This year in particular, we've done tons of things, and I sometimes kind of try and transplant my brain into, if I was in Konami, what would I be making of all of this, and I sometimes find it difficult to remember all of the things that we're doing this year. There are so many innovations and refinements to the game, so it must be quite challenging sometimes for them to look at what we're doing, and I think the fact that, you know, everyone kind of walks into these interviews and says, so what's it like to be the best football title out there, doesn't cross my mind. What crosses the team's mind is how are we going to fix passing, what are we going to do with career mode, and just business as usual for us, which is making the best football video game we can.
How do you see the whole annual update kind of every year you've got FIFA?
Yeah.
I mean, THQ, the UFC title seems to be every 18 months now to give a longer dev cycle. Do you think the yearly model is going to die anytime soon, or do you think it's here to stay forever?
I don't know. I've been making football video games for about 15 years now, and it's always been every year, and that's kind of what I'm used to. I think there's a point at which you go, okay, releasing the game, great, now what can we do to keep it fresh and exciting? And the EA Sports Football Club for us is very much that this year. So we launch, and from the minute we launch, all of a sudden everything that you do in the game matters to you, and you know, you'll be able to support your club and try and contribute XP to your club, along with all the other fans of your club, to make sure that they're going to be successful, as well as, you know, taking situations and scenarios from the real world of football and pushing them into the game too as part of this live service. I think at that point, you know, keeping things fresh and exciting and new throughout the year is a different approach. I think sometimes we kind of fired and forget FIFA. We don't want to do that anymore. We want to keep it interesting and exciting and engaging for our fans, because I think that's what they want. And certainly the level of games that we're seeing played even to this day, many months after launch, says that there's a lot of people still out there playing FIFA right now, so let's give them some more stuff, let's keep them going, why not? You know, we want to do that. Whether or not we get to a point at which it's pure service, where you're not going out and buying a copy of FIFA in the shops, I think we're way away from that yet, but you know, we're thinking about things like that.
Do you ever worry that you'll run out of ideas? Because you're packing in so many features every year that you'll get to a point where you go, I have no idea what to put in there.
FIFA developers block. I haven't quite had to start to worry about that quite yet. Neither has the team, I don't think. You know, every game of football that's played, I think if one of the team are watching it, they're spotting something new and exciting that they'd like to see in the game. And I think that's one of the things that we're really lucky to have, this rich source of material in the form of the sport of football, that you kind of go, oh, look at this video on YouTube of this match where such and such does this in this minute, go check it out, and you're like, oh yeah, we've really got to get that in this year's, next year's game, whatever it is. Something's always happening, and we're lucky like that. But no, 15 odd years worth of making football video games, and there's people on the team that have got the same level of experience, and there's loads of them. We've not run out of ideas yet, and we've got a very long list.
So Peter Moore at E3 said that all EA Sports titles have Connect support in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're still working on FIFA 12 at the moment.
Yeah.
Have you thought ahead about how you're going to implement that, or is that something that you'll tackle when you ship this?
We've got a bunch of ideas. I'm not going to tell you what they are because you know, that would be a bit silly. But we've got a bunch of ideas, and we've not implemented all of them yet. We've had a little play around, we'll continue to do so, and once we hit on the magic formula, that'll be the one that will be in FIFA Future.
Are you worried that they're shoehorning it in, kind of thing? They're saying,
no, not really, because ultimately it's a pretty cool device, and I've got one at home, and I enjoy playing it, and so do my kids. I think the key thing is to make sure that whatever ends up shipping in the game is shipping in the game for the right reasons. And you know, the team back in Vancouver are kind of proud guardians of what is right, and I'm sure that, you know, everyone when they see it will be very happy.